Man is condemned to be free. Modern society has weaponized Sartre's insight. We live in a world that tells us we can be anything we want. It is a beautiful, seductive promise, whispered in every advertisement, every self-help book, every success story shared online. The modern age has placed the individual upon a magnificent throne, declaring each of us the sovereign ruler of our own destiny. We are told, be free, be authentic, create yourself from scratch. Yet Jean-Paul Sartre, we are condemned to be free, that freedom can feel like a terrible burden. We are the artists of our own lives, given an empty canvas, told any flaw is entirely our fault. The paradox. Glorifying the self erodes what makes us self-whole. We chase independence so fiercely, we become profoundly alone. We optimize every minute for productivity and growth, and we find ourselves exhausted and empty. We curate digital identities with meticulous care and feel disconnected from the person behind the screen. We have built a culture that celebrates the individual above all, and in doing so created conditions for isolation, anxiety, and loss. We'll look at three things. The promise of self-realization as a trap, the language of the market invading our inner lives, and the hyper-connected world producing an epidemic of loneliness. This is not an argument against freedom or growth, it's a quiet plea. Not in isolation but in connection, not in constant striving but in gentle acceptance. The promise of self-realization is one of the most powerful narratives of our time. It tells us that within each of us lies a vast, untapped potential waiting to be unlocked. We can be fitter, smarter, calmer, more productive, and more enlightened. The path to this better self is paved with morning routines, productivity hacks, mindfulness apps, and an endless library of books promising the 7 habits of highly effective people. This is the promise of more. More success, more happiness, more fulfillment. Growth becomes an urgent, quantifiable task. We track our steps, monitor our sleep, log our calories, and journal our moods. Life becomes a series of metrics to be optimized. We are encouraged to see our flaws not as part of our humanity, but as bugs in our personal operating system. The pressure is immense because the responsibility rests solely on our shoulders. If we are not happy, we have not tried hard enough. If we are not successful, we have not optimized our workflow. The promise of infinite potential carries with it the shadow of infinite inadequacy. Nietzsche wrote, "Man is a rope tied between beast and overman, a rope over an abyss." We are urged to race toward an ideal and to leave our ordinary humanity behind. The present is never enough. It becomes a stepping stone to a future self that may never arrive. The pain that follows this relentless pursuit of self-realization is a quiet but pervasive exhaustion. The treadmill never stops. Once you achieve one goal, run a race, learn a language, secure a promotion, a more ambitious goal takes its place. There is no finish line, no point to say, "I am complete, I am enough." This constant striving leads not to fulfillment but to burnout. We are optimizing ourselves into depletion. Perfection pressure breeds fear of failure. A missed workout, a day of unhealthy eating, a period of low motivation becomes evidence of personal deficiency. Consider Anna. She wakes at 5 to meditate, journal, exercise, listens to podcasts on her commute, upskills at night, meal preps on Sundays. From the outside, she is the picture of self-realization, doing everything she is supposed to do, striving, growing, optimizing. But the endless growth standard is impossible, creating perpetual dissatisfaction with who we are right now. Instead, Anna sits surrounded by the tools of self-improvement, feeling hollow. The gap between our curated public self and our imperfect private self becomes deep anxiety. The self-realization trap isolates us. Our culture adopts the language of the marketplace to describe human life. We are personal brands. We are encouraged to be the CEO of Me Inc., a promise of freedom and control. Manage life like a business to achieve independence, wealth, success on our own terms. We are told to monetize our hobbies, build networks and market our skills. The gig economy and entrepreneur glamour supercharge the narrative. If you are clever, strategic, relentless, you can design a life of autonomy. You are in charge of your own stock value in the open market of life. Market logic seeps into every corner of our lives. Camus spoke of creating meaning in a meaningless world. The entrepreneurial ethos updates it. Your meaning is your success. Your value is your market value. Life becomes a demanding project. Apply business principles to build a self that is successful, independent, and supposedly meaningful. The ultimate promise of control in a chaotic world. The painful reality of living Asme, Inc. is that the work never ends. When you are your own brand, you are always on duty. Boundaries between work, rest, and play dissolve. Your evenings, weekends, holidays become opportunities to get ahead, build your brand, respond to emails, plan your next move. Hustle is celebrated, but the human cost is immense. It leads to chronic stress, sleep loss, and the feeling that you're never doing enough. The promise of autonomy becomes a 24/7 job. This mindset turns us into commodities. Viewing ourselves as brands, we tailor our personalities to what sells. Authenticity becomes a performance. We ask not who am I, but what version of me will my audience, my customers, my employer want to buy. Self-commodification is alienating, leaving us imposters in our own lives. Entrepreneurial freedom often masks precarity. Income volatility, lack of benefits, and dependence on algorithms and demanding clients. Freedom as instability. We live in the most connected time in human history. With a few taps, we can speak across the planet, access knowledge, and share our lives with thousands. The promise of our digital age is perpetual connection, transcending old barriers. Especially seductive as traditional community structures weaken, we move more, live more anonymously, have less time for slow in-person life. Digital platforms offer a convenient substitute. Feeling lonely? Scroll your feed. Looking for a partner? Swipe through profiles. Technology promises to fill the void. It offers a frictionless solution to the messy business of relationships and encourages performance. We share highlights, vacations, accomplishments, happy family photos, creating a culture of comparison. We become spectators. Connection is passive and superficial. Hundreds of friends, yet few meaningful conversations. Hours online, and loneliness persists. We mistake information flow for intimacy surrounded by digital ghosts. The promise is a world without loneliness. The reality feels very different. Section 7. The Loneliness Epidemic. A world we cannot touch. Despite more friends than ever, we report higher isolation, especially among the young. The very tools meant to bring us together often push us apart. Connection. Typical evening, return to a quiet apartment, dinner for one, then hours watching other people live their lives. You see a party you were not invited to, romantic holidays, repetitive chats that go nowhere. The room is silent but for the screen, surrounded by people, yet never more alone. The world at your fingertips, but you cannot touch it. Low-friction interaction displaces the richer work of friendship and presence. Loneliness is a global health threat equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It increases risk of heart disease, stroke, dementia, and premature death. We were promised a global village, yet many of us live in solitary confinement. Section 8. The Mental Health Crisis. The Pursuit of Happiness. Our culture is obsessed with happiness. The ultimate goal we can and should pursue: self-optimization, achievement, positive thinking, engineer lasting contentment. Happiness becomes a key performance indicator. If you are not happy, you are failing. Treating happiness as a goal makes us acutely aware of its absence. We monitor moods, sadness, anxiety, boredom become problems to fix, a second arrow of suffering. We are not allowed bad days, expected to be resilient, reframe, and get back on the track of striving. An individualist lens ignores the vast web of social, economic, environmental realities shaping our emotions. Telling the overworked, underpaid, isolated person to think positively is not just unhelpful, it is cruel. It privatizes suffering. The impossible standard of happiness placed on isolated individuals creates perfect conditions for anxiety and depression to flourish. Section 9. The arrival of despair. The inevitable result of this immense pressure is a global mental health crisis. Anxiety and depression have risen for years, particularly among young people. Depression is a leading cause of disability worldwide. It is the logical outcome of constant performance, radical individualism, and pathologizing normal human pain. We are burning out, breaking down, feeling utterly alone. Frankl wrote, "It is the very pursuit of happiness that thwarts happiness." Meaning, not happiness sustains us, devote to causes, love others, bear suffering with dignity. A culture obsessed with the self starves deeper meaning. We are diagnosed, medicated, told to work on ourselves without addressing toxic context. We are treated like faulty machines to be repaired and put back to work, rather than asking whether the system is unhealthy for humans. The pain is not just sadness. It is shame for being sad in a world with frayed safety nets, expecting bootstraps where there are no boots. The promise was individual empowerment. The pain is collective suffering. We have optimized into fragile, isolated despair, and we are paying a terrible price. Section 10. Conclusion. Finding our way back to each other, we have journeyed through a paradox. A culture that worships the individual has created conditions for the self to wither. The promise of self-realization led to burnout, entrepreneurial dreams to relentless grind, digital fantasies to loneliness, the pursuit of happiness to despair. In our quest to be gods of our own lives, we have forgotten how to be human. It is time to seek a wiser path, shift from optimization to acceptance. Let go of the perfected self and embrace messy, beautiful humanity. Protect time for rest and play, not as strategy, but as human need. Allow imperfection without judgment. Be as kind to ourselves as to a dear friend. Rebuild community with small, practical steps. Start a book club, volunteer, join a team, call instead of text, resist commodification, carve out spaces free from market logic, connect for the joy of shared existence, a quiet rebellion, connection over isolation, compassion over competition, meaning over metrics. True freedom is choosing what we bind ourselves to, our communities, our values, each other. Look up, see the faces around us, and find meaning in the simple sacred act of finding our way back to each other.